Since the beginning of 2024, the Toronto real estate market has seen some crazy multiple offer situations. We've seen an increase in buyer activity, the amount of showings, the amount of sales, but the statistics just came out for January 2024 and the average sales price may surprise you. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Demetres Giannitsos. I'm a local real estate agent and group leader here in Toronto. I'm going to make this real quick. If at any point you want to get in touch with me and chat with me about your plans or what's going on in the market, I've left a link down below where you can reach out and book a call right in my calendar. So if you've been following the Toronto real estate market as of late, you've probably heard that there's been a fairly big shift as of the start of January. A bunch of major institutions came out with some positive articles and outlooks on the market moving forward, which seems to have instilled some confidence in some buyers because all of a sudden we're seeing multiple offers. You know, there was a property in Mississauga a couple of weeks ago that got over 80 offers. I know I've been a part of a bunch of multiple offer situations where our clients ran into 10 plus offers. And, you know, if you follow your favorite agent on YouTube, on Instagram, you've probably seen clips of like open houses that are packed full of people and just how much buyer activity is out there. But then this week, the statistics came out for TREB for January 2024, and the average sales price actually went down. Super counterintuitive, I know, but I think I figured out why the average sales price went down, and we're going to talk about it. So luckily for you, you got me. We're going to break this all down, or at least try to make sense of it. So I'm going to flip over to my screen here. So the first thing that I wanted to do is like, okay, we've heard about showings going up and the amount of sales going up. Let's just double check to make sure that that's actually all happening by the numbers, because at the end of the day, the numbers do not lie, okay? So right here, we've got Broker Bay. This is the booking system that most agents in the city use for booking their appointments. Like 90% of the agents use this program. So they actually have an analytics section where you can track the amount of showings. So sure enough, you know, if we're looking at December and November, okay, December here, we saw showings drastically increase, you know, into January, which is, you know, to be expected. Not a lot of showings going on right around December 24th here, which brings us like back to kind of where things were in, you know, the fall market. Okay, so showing activity definitely picked up. Flipping over to the amount of sales. Okay, so this is the amount of sales in the Toronto area. Okay, we are talking about Toronto specific. I know this kind of goes for the GTA across the board. Usually the statistics are fairly in line, but you know, just for the sake of this channel and Toronto being the center of the universe, we are going to be talking about Toronto here. So, okay, December, we got down here, we had 1,263 sales. And then in January, 1,442 sales. So sales definitely did pick up, but not like crazy. Like there was like 250 more sales. Okay, so nothing absolutely drastic. Now that being said, we are in a pretty low inventory environment. There's not that many houses to choose from. So, you know, it wouldn't be realistic to see sales jump from 1,200 to 10,000 when there's only 4,500 listings on the market in Toronto right now. So they definitely did pick up. Okay, so that checks out too. So then naturally, my next train of thought is, okay, let's see what is happening per property type. Okay, so now TREB releases this market watch report that basically breaks down all the different property types and their numbers for the month to month and the year over year. Okay, so what I do, and this is just me, I don't know if I'm crazy, but I do this, I actually will write down some of the key statistics onto a Google sheet here. And I've been doing this for the last couple of years to just track the Toronto real estate market for the sole reason of this allows me to graph everything on one page. So then I can see how stuff is performing relative to each other. So then you get a graph kind of like this. So to break this all down in simple terms here, the red is detached homes, the yellow is semi-detached homes, the blue is just the average sales price, green is townhouses, freehold townhouses, and then orange is going to be your condo apartments. Okay, so let's take a look at what the numbers did last month. Okay, so December 2023, detached homes went from 1.626 down to 1.570. Semi-detached in December 2023 was 1.173 and it went up to 1.199. Okay, that kind of makes sense because a lot of the multiple offer scenarios that we're seeing are on semi-detached type properties. You know, those are the ones that are still kind of falling in that average sales price range that a lot of people want, you know, within 20 minutes of downtown. So I'm not too surprised to see semis actually go up a little bit. Okay, we'll get into the average sales price at the end here. Now, townhouses in December 2023 went from 1.1 down to 895. Now, one thing, when this came out last month with the 1.1, I saw that as a drastic increase. And because sales volume is so low in December, if there were a few, say, luxury townhouses in really expensive areas that sold, it could actually drastically change the average, which I think that this is a little bit of a rogue data point in my opinion. But that being said, you know, the next data point is even lower than it was in November. So it actually kind of looks like townhouses might have slid. And then condos, okay? So everything seems to kind of have gone down. Okay, semis went up a tad. And then condos just hanging steady here. In December, 709,283. And then in January, 709,420. So literally like $200 difference, okay? Now let's dive into the average sales price, which is this blue line. Okay, this is basically taking all the property types combined and averaging them together. So, you know, with this green line, this rogue data point, it kind of makes it hard to grab, but I think I got it right there. In December 2023, $1,084,000 was the average sales price. And then the January numbers that just came out, $1,026,000. So the numbers aren't lying. The average sales price actually went down. And, you know, it's, if we look at the months of inventory, this is a really good determining factor on where the market is headed. If we have months of inventory going down, that's showing that we have less supply. And usually that means that prices are going up. And sure enough, the months of inventory also dropped last month. So how could the average sales price go down when everything is suggesting that it should go up? So this actually had me thinking, like, how could this actually be happening? And how can I find some statistics that will show you guys, you know, why the average sales price went down? And I think I figured it out. So it really had me thinking, like, okay, if the average sales price went down, where are the majority of these sales happening and at what price points are they happening? So I was like, okay, let me see the amount of sales that are happening in each property type. So this is for the Toronto area, the number of sales, how many transactions for detached properties. And you can see from December to January, the amount of detached properties, the amount of them sold went down. So we also see for semi-detached properties in December 2023, we saw 128 sales. And then now this month we saw 106. So those sales actually also went down. Let's go to townhouses. Same thing, December 2023, we actually saw the amount of properties go down. Okay, finally we get to condos. And this is where I think I figured it out. Okay, so you can see here that the amount of sales in the condo sector actually went up, and it actually went up like fairly substantially. So in December, there was 639 sales, and then in January, were 883 sales. Where before we saw detached, semi-detached townhouses, the number of sales had actually decreased across all three of those property types, but we saw a fairly significant increase in the amount of sales of condos, and obviously condos sell much less than your freehold properties, therefore bringing the average sales price in Toronto down. And this kind of makes sense that we would see an increase in the amount of condo sales since January. We've seen a lot of positive articles come out at the start of January, giving a lot of consumer confidence for those buyers to get back in the market. But hey, we still have high interest rates and the affordability is still a huge problem. And the majority of people are going to be qualifying at lower price points, aka condos. So we are going to see when a bunch of buyers return to the market, they can't afford a lot of the freehold properties and they're going to be forced to go and buy condos. So I think that that kind of makes sense. Now, keep in mind that this is all just statistics. And when we're looking at the average sales price as the main indicator across a large area and multiple property types, there are factors like this that could change the numbers here or there. And your decision should not be based solely on the average sales price of Toronto real estate. And I mean, look at the numbers don't lie. The average sales price did go down. And I think that this is actually good for a lot of people watching who are maybe seeing a lot of the articles or people posting about how crazy the market is. And it has picked up. And there's certain pockets that are extremely hot that are getting a lot of attention. But honestly, the market hasn't gone ballistic. Like, everybody needs to calm down a little bit. You know, if you're a buyer out there, be cautious. A lot of these multiple offer scenarios, yes, they're getting a lot of attention. But when you look at what they actually sell for, they sell for market value. Or maybe if they get multiple offers, they're selling for the higher end of market value. but we're not really seeing anybody go crazy banana prices where you're looking at it the next day and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe somebody paid that, or how is that even going to appraise? So things are still fairly reasonable. There are definitely more buyers out there. And when it comes to freehold homes, especially if you're looking in those hot pockets within 20 minutes of downtown and you're looking around the average sales price around 1.2 million, it is very competitive. I've got a couple of clients that are looking in those pockets and we are running into competition. But if you're looking on the outskirts, it is still fairly slow. If you're looking for condos, there's still lots of inventory and you're able to go in there and negotiate the best terms and the price for you. And it's not crazy. Things aren't going up an insane amount. I'm telling anybody who's running into competition to just be patient, okay? Don't go crazy and throw down some insane number for a property. Just be patient. There's going to be more listings coming in the spring. And to be honest, I really like this. I think that things are kind of leveling off a little bit. Toronto has just been so crazy since the pandemic with these insane swings of up and down and up and down. And I think that this is the beginning of a little bit more of a stable market, which I think works well for everybody. It gives everybody a little bit more time to think about the decisions that they are making. Whether you are a seller who's going to be upsizing or downsizing, this makes you, able to sell your property and buy another property a little bit more comfortably. If you're just looking to get into the market, you're not feeling that immense pressure of missing out because you're going to pay $50,000 more for the same property next month. So I'm actually a fan of where things are at. I think that things are just chugging along at a good pace. I think that the number of sales are starting to increase. People are starting to return to the market, but because we are still in a higher interest rate environment, it's kind of putting a cap on how crazy things can get. Now, that being said, if the Bank of Canada comes out with some news and starts dropping rates, that could instill a lot more confidence in the market. And at that point, we might see things start to pick up with a little bit more head of steam. Like I said earlier too, if we look at the months of inventory, the months of inventory is starting to get a little bit on the lower end, which puts us again into more of a seller's market scenario. So let me know in the comment section, what do you think? Was this the crash of 2024 or is this the calm before the storm? It's going to be really interesting to see how this all plays out, but I'm really curious to hear what you think down in the comment section below. As always, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video.